Are you a human being? Are you also a Browns fan? Well, if you said yes to both of those things, then there's a good chance you're probably a little tired of our local Cleveland Browns sports media. Same old thing, day after day, night after night. It's time to hang the cleats up. It's time to pass the torch. If you're looking for something fun, something fresh, something where four people literally smack themselves in the face over and over with hot take after hot take, then my boys at Down with the Browns is where you want to be. It's just good for your soul. Available on Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Twitter. Getting down with the Browns.
And welcome back to another episode of Down with the Browns, baby.
We're here. We're a little late, but we're here.
Just a tad bit.
Everybody's here.
I blame Mac.
But I was the only one that was actually ready. Well, I don't know what Matty G was doing, but I was ready. I was actually not late this time. Let the record show that. So
The record will not show that, actually. But it is great to be back on Down with the Browns with my boys, Mac, Matty G, and Manny. Free agency's starting to heat up a little bit. And as Mac's little clipboard says, leave Nick Chubb alone.
leave him alone. Leave him alone. My
Yeah.
God, I don't get it. How and I mean the report. There was a report earlier that Kevin Stefanski and the Browns are implementing a pass-heavy offense next season. Now this is not new news. There were reports of this a couple months ago. We saw it towards the end of the season that they were trying to pass more, and there was reports right after the Pittsburgh game that Jimmy Haslam wants an air raid offense. He wants to throw it all over the yard. But for some reason, that turned into trade Nick Chubb, which I just don't get. I don't understand.
Because I mean, why would you have a running back?
There we go.
Why would you have a running back if you're only at Nick Chubb's level, if you're only going to give him the ball 10 times a game? For the record, if anyone wants to look this up, D'Ernest Johnson actually has a higher yards per carry career metric than Nick Chubb does.
Yeah,
Fun fact.
So here's the even funnier fact about that, Matty G. So D'Ernest Johnson doesn't have enough carries for that stat to actually be merit.
He has 171, Mac. That's 171 more NFL carries than you'll ever have.
Yeah, but still, it's not enough to be on a yards per carry list career-wise. So you can take that and put it right to bed.
Ooh. Dang, spicy. I guess Manny is muted. Guess the Celtics killed him.
Oh yeah, is he still crying about the Celtics and the two wine bags? It's Dr. Cryer and Miss Teardrop are both out tonight. Jason Tatum and who's the other one that's been crying because he's out too.
Al Horford.
Al Horford. Oh yeah, the one with because he cries and then he has a sister that cries on social media.
Wise man
Anna.
cried. He just got dunked on.
Yeah.
He's always crying. He needs to know.
But free agency is starting to heat up. It starts Monday, with legal tampering beginning then. Bunch of names released.
Bunch of names.
People available. People I didn't think. Huh?
Bunch of names.
Oh, I thought you were making fun of me.
Oh, no.
I was about to clown you. Never mind. But people like Eric. I just went blank. I'm not even going to talk about it. Vikings linebacker.
Oh yeah, Eric Kendricks.
Yeah,
Kendricks. He just got released. Frank Clark just got released.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of just crazy names out there. Names that I thought that would have been paid. Guys with just still a lot left in the tank. Frank Clark. Which a lot of Browns fans will know because he grew up in the Cleveland area. He is now available and on the free agent market. And guess who's looking for a defensive end? The Cleveland Browns are.
The Browns.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if they took a swing at him. He is 29, which makes a lot more sense. Now, there was Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham. Being floated around as, possible free agent targets as well. But, Frank Clark is a younger guy who could be, he's more than a 1-year deal for these teams to sign.
If I had to personally, I was thinking about this today. I think that if I was Andrew Berry, I think my first 2 calls in free agency at this point would probably be Frank Clark and Bud Dupree, for the 2 reasons being, I think both of them are different type of pass rushers, and both of them could combine to be a very solid number 2 tandem, if you get what I mean, because Frank Clark is more of like a kind of grind you down with like great footwork type of guy, like kind of more of like a Clowney type. Bud Dupree, to me, and you can tell me I'm wrong about this, Matt, because you know more about pass rushing than I do. Bud Dupree reminds me of a supercharged tack, like very aggressive, fast off the line, like gets in your face. And that to me is the perfect rotational pass rusher to have in on third down.
And and I put out a tweet earlier. I wouldn't take him as a starting defensive end, but I definitely would as a rotational piece. Now, sadly, there was a report earlier that the Steelers are trying to bring him back. Crazy enough, my cousin actually sent me a text before I even saw it on Twitter. There's a lot of just rumors swirling around. They're trying to bring him back, which makes the most sense because that's where Bud Dupree had most of his success. Not surprising at all.
He had 12 sacks his last year in Pittsburgh, didn't he?
Yeah. Yes, he did. Playing next to Cam Hayward and opposite of TJ Watt. Now granted, a lot of people could eat in that situation, but maybe that's what he's thinking.
You have to think that he probably, in terms of defensive end there, he'd still probably be their third. They're probably going to keep Alex Highsmith on top of him in the depth chart.
Yeah, Alex Highsmith had one hell of a year in Pittsburgh. He was actually Pro Football Focus rated him in the top 10 of edge rushers this year. And Alex Highsmith, Browns fans should know who Alex Highsmith is, considering the fact that he's Jedrick Wills' father. After several games of just absolute domination against him, and Pittsburgh fans will certainly agree with that statement. But
I think Mac put it best. I think this is shaping up to be a second. The second most interesting offseason in NFL history following last year. I think we're seeing a changing of the guard in how these younger GMs are handling business, where we're going to start seeing player movement on a more similar level to the NBA, where you're going to start seeing contenders only have like their star players for 2 or 3 seasons. I think that as a Browns fan, it's very encouraging because it's very easy to look at this free agent class and be like, okay, the Browns could completely rebuild their entire defense, especially their defensive line, with just signing 3 or 4 of these guys who either just got released or trading for a potential cap casualty, i.e. Amari style, like DeForest Buckner. It's definitely shaping up to where there are no excuses to not win with this current free agent market. There are no excuses.
Yeah, for sure. And dude, if we can get DeForest Buckner or Javon Hargraves and pair them with Myles Garrett and then a Brandon Graham or Yannick Ngakoue, a possibility that Khalil Mack hits the market.
He's another cut candidate coming up here soon. Correct. Yeah.
Sorry to kind of change the subject, but it involves getting tagged. I cannot wait till the Ravens tag Lamar just because it's going to be up.
It just got released. Did you guys see it?
Ozzie.
Yeah, they're gonna tag him, and then that next day or within hours, I think the Browns will restructure Watson's deal just to give it to him.
Yeah, and they'll restructure all their contracts on Wednesday. That's because that's after the deadline for the tags have passed, so they can inflate the prices, which is awesome. I'll tell you this right now, and to kind of segue into this, my hot take of the evening, I think one man may have seriously hurt Lamar Jackson's market. And it's nobody. It's not Deshaun Watson. It's not Aaron Rodgers. It's not Derek Carr. I think Anthony Richardson just made a lot of teams really think about Lamar because a lot of teams would be looking at Lamar. If we look at the combine, if we want to kind of put this in like a real world example, watching the combine on Saturday, I almost felt like that I was watching Anthony Richardson be the PS5 to Lamar's PS4, to where you look at Anthony Richardson, you're like, this guy's Lamar, but stronger, taller, faster, more athletic, higher football IQ, arguably a better playmaker. Why would you pay Lamar? And when you would have the opportunity to get a guy who potentially could be even better than Lamar, cheaper.
Now, before you start with those crazy looks in your eye, KFC, Matty G has a point. He actually has a point, and I will wholeheartedly agree to this because, and you can even see this with Jalen Hurts' situation. There's a lot of these athletic QBs that come in here and they're kind of subpar in terms of the film room, and they're subpar as a pocket passer, but they have a team that can create a playbook around them and use their dynamic ability. I mean, nobody's looking at Anthony Richardson and saying, this guy is a franchise quarterback. He can start from day one. He will be the MVP. No, he is a project. Now, granted, he is a project with massive upside, but he's still a project. And who better to come in than the Ravens? I mean, they've been running this crazy read option offense for the past 4 years with Lamar. Bring in Anthony Richardson. He's cheaper. He's bigger. He's more healthy. I mean, Lamar Jackson for the past 2 seasons, he's been injured. So why not take a swing at Anthony Richardson?
This is where I might lose you here, Mac. I feel comfortable saying that if in the right system, with the right guys around him, with the right coaching staff, I think that in a few years we could be seeing Anthony Richardson in the GOAT conversation.
Oh my God.
I think he has the tools that I seriously, I think he has the tools that you could be talking about him.
Okay. Let me just say this. I'm not even gonna brag. Like, I know this is gonna sound biased because this game was against Kentucky. But if you want to see how to stop Anthony Richardson, go back, watch Kentucky versus Florida. The dude crumbled.
The greatest quarterback of all time was a 6th round pick.
Okay, cool. But he threw 14 for 35, 2 picks,
He did.
ran 6 times for 4 yards.
Yes.
In the swamp where it's supposedly easier for the home team to play. Crumbled, played terrible. And you know what they did? They just rushed 4, put everybody else in coverage or man. Crumbled.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a project here. No matter how far he can throw and how fast he can run, he's still a project, and he still needs retool. He's very limited in terms of college snaps, and he had a very, very bad start to the 2022 college season. It's weird because like his first half and his last half of the season are like night and day. They're the tale of 2 completely different players. But with that being said, if a team and what's crazy, there was a report that both him and the Seattle Seahawks are very interested in each other. Apparently the meetings went well. They're both very much intrigued with how he interviewed and everything. And that just seems kind of like the best spot because Anthony Richardson just needs to sit for maybe 1 or 2 years to kind of get his feet up under him.
Yeah,
Can I tell you a place
but he just needs
if I could pick one place for Anthony Richardson to go, this is going to surprise a lot of people. The New York Football Giants. The reason being he could sit behind potentially Danny Dimes for 1 or 2 years. They're not going to sign him to a long-term extension.
With a very run-heavy offense.
They very run-heavy offense. Danny Dimes is a similar playing style. And the thing is Brian Daboll appears to be the quarterback whisperer. He got the most out of Josh Allen, who was a project. What he could do the same for Anthony Richardson.
That he did. Josh Allen. See, and not a lot of people remember this, but Josh Allen had one of the worst accuracy problems coming out of college. I mean, do you guys remember those videos in training camp in 2018.
Oh my god!
You know, I think
he
we
couldn't
were
hit
all
the side of a barn.
I mean, he couldn't hit a bubble route. He couldn't hit a 2-yard bubble route, like behind the line of scrimmage. Like that's how bad his mechanics were. So, I don't think it's totally crazy to think that one day we could be talking about Anthony Richardson as a top quarterback, but he is a project, so he does need to go to that right spot. It's going to be really interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be the bust out of the big names.
No, that
think
big bust out of the big names is going to be
that's
coming
Bryce
from
Young.
Nah, that's going to be Christian's boy, Will Levis. Will Levis might as well put on a Zach Wilson jersey and go sleep with his friend's mom. He's basically the exact same guy.
Jeez.
Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Like, that's
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Come on,
whatever.
man.
I'm just not even going to comment because, I've watched the guy play. I don't think he's the best quarterback in this draft, but Anthony Richardson is not. No, he's nah. I'm sorry.
I expect more than
He's
18
not that.
TD passes out of a first-round pick quarterback. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Will Levis only had 18 TD passes.
Yeah, because he was hurt.
Yeah, I was about to say, didn't he not play half the season?
Yeah, he missed a game and then played half of it with a broke shoulder. So,
His shoulder was broke?
you could look at his traps. This one was up, and this was the one because it
that's
sprained
gross.
up. Yeah, and he played half the season like that, and people were wondering why he played bad. And our offensive coordinator was worse than Freddie Kitchens calling plays.
Good quarterbacks rise above that.
Okay.
Struck a nerve. Struck a nerve with this Kentucky team.
Oh, is that why they overcome Georgia? C.J. Stroud hit a nerve there. All the Buckeye fans are going to come after you.
CJ, when Will Levis wakes up every morning, he prays to the Lord and says, "Oh, damn, I wish I woke up like CJ Stroud." CJ Stroud probably doesn't know who Will Levis is.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go on with the rest of the draft, if that's cool with you guys. Talk a little bit about some guys.
Hear that?
You know what?
It's out off in the distance.
It's what the Buffalo heard.
Nothing is quite demeaning like hearing someone tell you that you went to the gym for 15 years and came back a disappointment. This is Mac with what the Buffalo heard. Just as fast as it began, the NFL Combine finished up its last day in Indianapolis today. Many future NFL rookies showed why they were top prospects with fantastic showings and test results. USC offensive lineman Andrew Voorhees stole the show as the Combine Iron Man after tearing his ACL the day before and pumping out 38 reps of 225 on bench press today. It's a shame he'll be out for what looks like the entirety of the 2023 season because the Browns could surely need more offensive linemen that don't quit on things halfway through. Taking a look around the AFC North as the Baltimore Ravens are expected to franchise tag QB Lamar Jackson after numerous failed talks of a future contract extension. The reason being Jackson is seeking a fully guaranteed contract similar to the one given to Deshaun Watson. I asked owner Jimmy Haslam if he had any comments about Watson's contract resetting the market for teams trying to extend their franchise quarterback, to which he responded with, "It's a shame the broke boys don't want to get their wallet out." Lastly, Browns fans held a doofus convention on Twitter today after reports of Kevin Stefanski implementing a pass-heavy offense next year. Unfortunately, a large group of Browns fans can't read nor have the will to, which led to many people believing false rumors of the team trading their start running back. Along with the chance of trade Chubb, other ignorant phrases were yelled out, such as "the earth is flat" and "the Browns are Super Bowl contenders." This is Mac with what the Buffalo heard.
That was a good one. I wonder who said that first opening statement.
No. So that one, I mean, Christian, I've told you this, but usually when I open, there's always an inside joke before I get into it. And last night, playing Xbox with Christian, and this 10-year-old child tells me straight to my face, "You went to the gym for 15 years and came home a disappointment." Like, what am I even supposed to say to that?
That little 10-year-old boy was my cousin.
Like, I can't even say anything back. Like, I'm not saying that I came home a disappointment, but like that cut me deep, man. That's worse than like anything I've ever heard like a teacher or a coach.
Those
say to my
COD,
face.
those COD lobbies, man, they're not for the wary. Like,
Oh,
I think
Oh no,
those-
it's Fortnite. It was Fortnite.
oh, even worse. Those lobbies,
Yeah.
dude, most people could not handle them. Like our parents talk about like how like we couldn't handle it back in their day. I don't think they'd understand I don't think they understand what a modern day COD lobby's like.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing hearing it from a random stranger, but a person that's your teammate, it just hurts a little bit more.
Do you
Oh,
like
gosh,
did you at least win? Did you guys at
Oh,
least win the round?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
we won that game.
Yeah, I was about to say we won like 4 times in the past like 2 days.
Yeah.
Out here
Kinda
catching dubs.
Yeah. Oh, but transitioning into talking about the combine and people that the Browns probably looked at and talked to this over these past few days. You know, I made this. I'm pretty impressed with myself. I'm not gonna lie. I made this little spreadsheet. I went through, picked out 5 guys that I kind of thought that the Browns should look at from 3 different positions at 42. I'm gonna name like one from each category that I think.
Well, I was about to say, why don't we go around and we go, everybody has a loser and a winner from the combine. We'll start off on a positive note. KFC, give me one of your winners from the combine.
A winner of the combine. I think that Tyler Scott from Cincinnati was not big on
Okay.
him until the combine, but he kind of balled out, not going to lie. He's a junior, Cincinnati, 21 years of age, 5'11", 185, had 81 receptions for 1,386 yards with a 16.9 yards per catch with 13 touchdowns in his time with Cincinnati. PFF graded him out as a 72.1, had a 4.44 in the 40, had a 39.5-inch vertical, and a combine grade of 6.35.
Yeah, so I believe a 6.1 is a starter quality prospect, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's pretty solid. One of my winners was defensive end / defensive tackle from USC, Tuli Tuipulotu,
TT, baby.
which I apologize if I butcher his last name there. But not so much with his test results. He did have a surprise weigh-in. A lot of people thought that he was going to weigh in at 290. He came in at 266. But what we saw on tape, we saw at the combine in those drills, because his hands are violent. I don't know if you guys saw that. I know Christian did, because he ended up tagging me in the clip. But his club coming around the corner, I mean, you could tell that the guy holding the bag got his bell rung, which was great to see, because the one thing that you want out of a pass rusher is violent hands, very active, and that's what you see with Tuli. It's no coincidence that he led all of college football with 13.5 sacks last year. And I think if he's on the board at 42, why not take him? Because here's the thing. There is a possibility of he just has that rare frame to where he could bulk up and play inside as a defensive tackle. And the Browns need both defensive end and defensive tackle. And, when you can rush from any point in the field, that just increases your chances of getting on the field. So, if he's on the board at 42 and you haven't addressed, a lot of the defensive end in free agency, take a swing at Tuli. I think he's a really great prospect.
Well,
Graded in at a 7.1.
Yeah. And he also had 22 tackles for a loss, 13 QB hits, 46 tackles. PFF had him at 82.1.
Yeah. It's I just don't understand the knock on him. Now they do say that he has problems with wrapping up.
Well, his missed tackle percentage was 31.4.
Jesus.
That's bad. That's
bad. That's not great. Yeah.
But a lot of the big names that would be available at 42, they all kind of have that similar, like the kid out of Northwestern that ran the 449. His missed tackle percentage is 25.5. Will McDonald, his is 11.1. Mike Morris from Michigan is 11.1.
Which
And
can
BJ
we talk
Ojulari.
about the love for Will McDonald? I don't understand it. I know that I've told you this before in private, KFC, but I don't understand the love with Will McDonald. Everybody's all up in arms about this guy, but he has the frame of an outside linebacker. I mean, you know, he's a shade under 240 pounds. Did we not learn anything from Barkevius Mingo? You know, it'd be one thing if we're running a 3-4 and we need, you know, an outside linebacker, or we need a guy to play off the ball. But at 239 pounds, we're not going to put that kind of guy on the line. He's, you know, the Browns already had this issue with run defense last year. You need a guy with a solid base. Unfortunately, Will McDonald's just not that guy.
Yeah. Which one guy that's kind of starting to like pop out to me is that BJ Ojulari from LSU, man. He's a dog. I mean, you can just go look at the tape. I'll just tell you that. Just go watch BJ Ojulari at LSU. You'll see what's up.
Who was one of your winners at the combine there, Matty G?
That's a good question, Mac. Obviously, you know, Anthony Richardson would be a big one. A guy for me, I think another one is Josh Downs. He ran one of the nicest gauntlet drills you will ever see. I think that the gauntlet drill is probably the most important when it comes to evaluating a wide receiver. Like, I was hopping in and out of some Twitter spaces today, and a couple guys made some good points. If you look at all pro and Pro Bowl wide receivers, none of them ever have the fastest 40 time in their draft class. They're always usually on the faster side, but it's usually because they're good route runners. And the gauntlet drill talks about the finesse aspect of being a wide receiver as well as being able to catch it kind of in traffic and on the move. So that's how I looked at it. And I'll kick us off also with losers. And for my loser, I'm going to stay in the wide receiver realm. I'm going to go with Jalen Hyatt. Talked a big game about running under a 4.3, runs over a 4.4. He's a straight line speed guy. He can't catch. He just is kind of a it's just kind of a fly route guy. He just kind of will try and beat you over the top. He runs straight. He runs straight and runs screens. He didn't show anything to me how he can really affect your offense with not having that game breaking speed. I think if I had to give a comp to him, he really, really, really reminds me a lot of Anthony Schwartz. I hate being that way, but I think he's a slightly better Anthony Schwartz.
I will disagree with you there. I do have him as my loser, though, considering the fact that he had hamstring tightness. He pulled up a lot in his drills, and he got shut down early with that injury. He did run that 4.4. I do think that he can run a heck of a lot faster, but that's good news for us Browns fans because there is a high chance that Jalen Hyatt could fall to the Browns at 42. Now, getting back on my – no, give me a second. Give me a second. Look at the tape. Anthony Schwartz didn't score 5 TDs against a Nick Saban defense in a single game. Okay? Anthony Schwartz has no idea how to attack a blind spot and do a double move on the outside against a cornerback. I mean,
he also didn't have Hendon Hooker throwing on the ball.
But here's the thing. The Browns don't need a complete wide receiver. They need a deep threat. And Jalen Hyatt is one of the best deep threats in this class. You know, now, do the Browns need some wide receiver help? Yes. But what's the point of having 3 plumbers when my TV's broke? You see what I'm saying?
That's a good point. That's a good point, Mac.
The more that you diversify, the wide receiver room, the better. And Jalen Hyatt gives you something that not a lot of guys have, and which is that extra gear. We could not see it at the combine because his hamstring tightened up. Hopefully that isn't just a constant thing because I mean you do see it a lot with these guys that can fly. They don't have a lot of fat on them, and it just you're working yourself too hard. Muscle tenses up, and you're going to have those kind of spasms, and you're going to pull a hammy here and there. So hopefully, he'll be healthy for his pro day. But if he falls to 42, I would love to have the Browns pick him. Now, my total loser of the combine, some guy that I'm very disappointed in, and that would be Mike Morris.
That's who I was gonna say.
Now, they had him at 292 listed. He came in and he weighed in at 270. So, he drops this 20 pounds, and he ran a very disappointing 4.9340. And, the knack on him, was, okay, well, he has this production and his base against the run is great. And he's a very strong guy, but his get off does not scare anybody. He's not explosive off the ball. And Mike Morris showed you exactly that at the combine. Now, I am somewhat interested in him as a third or fourth round prospect.
Yeah.
For some depth at the position, but he's just not a guy to where he's just not making a lot of noise for himself.
Yeah.
Not going to sit here and label him a bust, because Lord knows what happens when you put him in between the lines against an NFL offensive lineman. These are just simply drills and speed metrics, but I was just extremely disappointed in him. I thought that there was a chance that he could prove guys wrong and be in that conversation at 42. But after his disappointing showing, he's a third, fourth round pick. For me.
Yeah, I agree on that. But since you said Mike Morris, I'm going to switch up my answer. I'm going to say Kayshon Boutte from LSU.
Good one.
I absolutely stunk it up. I kind of, I saw him play in Lexington last year, and until he got hurt midway through the second quarter, I mean, the dude was catching everything thrown to him. I mean, just burning everybody. So I was like, this cat's going to be pretty good. And I mean, he's always been highly touted as soon as he got to LSU. Injuries happen. So I was like, okay, this guy's going to ball out and kind of bump his stock up. But 10-yard split, 1.58, which was, I think, second to last. Oh, no, he's second to last in the broad jump, dead last in vertical. And then what was his
not
40?
Good for a wide receiver.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, dude stunk it up. I think his 40 was like a 4.5 something.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wasn't he a flyer?
I remember him being quick.
That's
I mean,
what
I don't know how serious that injury is, though, like that he had, because, I mean, he played 11 games last year, but he only had 40-something catches, 5-something yards, 500-something yards. So, I mean, yeah, he might be falling to like fifth, sixth round.
Boutte is Boutte. Surprise!
Now that's a project receiver right there. I wouldn't mind it if it's like a late, like 6, 7, something like that. But yeah, he kind of hurt himself there.
Yikes on bikes.
Yep. But so I just got a question. Okay. If the Browns, when they do get all this cap, what is your dream scenario? Like, they don't get rid of pick 42, but they do go out in free agency and acquire talent. What is like a three or four player like dream scenario for you this offseason?
In free agency?
Free agency and draft, if you want to intertwine it. Like,
well, so my thought processes on this, and I want your guys' feedback. If I'm the Browns, there's a lot of talent at defensive tackle and defensive end in free agency. And, if you just look across the league, I'd love to get some actual concrete data to back up what I'm about to say. But I do feel like wide receivers have more success as rookies than edge and D tackles do coming into the league. Mm-hmm. Now, I think part of it is just, a lot of these guys, they need to get in the weight room more. They need to, better, faster reaction times in terms of getting off the ball, so on and so forth. But Javon Hargraves, you got to find a way to just bring him in, because KFC, we've been taking a bat to this dead horse for
over a year now.
March of 20.
Over a year now,
dude. Literally, literally a year. It's been a whole 365 days of just us beating the dead horse, talking about defensive tackles and what that can do for a defense. But if you look at any solid rushing attack, or pass rush across the league, one common denominator, and they're able to push the pocket up the middle. and Javon Hargraves can do that. And he's going to be the best defensive tackle in this free agency class. So I would just hand him a blank check and then go from there. I do think that there are a couple decent defensive ends that you could get on a deal. A guy like a Brandon Graham. Yannick Ngakoue has been thrown out there. I'm not too big of a fan just because of his he's just got a slimmer frame.
Sam Abuka from is that how you say it, from the 49ers?
I thought it was Ebetike.
Oh,
I could be wrong.
I guess that's how you say it. I don't know how to say names.
Yeah, no. Here at Down with the Browns, our literacy is at like bare
questionable.
Minimum. So we do apologize for butchering some of these last names. But yeah, in terms of that, I would just say defensive tackle, defensive end, absolutely Javon Hargraves, and then whatever defensive end you can afford. Because here's the thing. The Browns still have to see what they have with Isaiah Thomas and Alex Wright. Now, not saying that they can be trusted with big roles next year, but we need to see whether or not they're the future.
Yeah.
So there does need to be some kind of plan in place to where this defensive end is kind of like a bridge guy, kind of like how you see with quarterbacks. So I would like to get a guy that's not going to be on the field a ton, but when he can produce. I think Brandon Graham is kind of that best option because he is up there a little bit with age. And then at draft at 42, I'd go wide receiver. And again, I mean, Jalen Hyatt, and I get it. He had this disappointed showing. He should have ran this 4.2, this blazing speed. He's not a complete wide receiver with the route tree. But again, you don't need a complete guy. You don't need a wide receiver one. You don't need a guy to where you're depending on 90 catches for 1,500 yards and 16 TDs. No, you just need anybody close to the Browns organization will tell you the exact same thing. The Browns have been looking for a deep threat since 2020, since Odell Beckham blew out his knee against the Bengals, because each team has been playing the Browns exactly the same. They're loading up the box. They only have one safety sitting back there, and they're begging you to show that you can beat press man coverage and you can get behind them. And the Browns just haven't been able to. Well, they've done it a few times, but not enough to where defenses feel comfortable, backing up. So, I'd say Jalen Hyatt at 42, because, especially I think he can learn a lot from Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones. What? You get breaking news?
No. No, I didn't.
What?
Nothing. I'll tell you later.
Oh, I know. Oh, what? A Zen pouch? Is that really what you? That's
I thought I was out. Shut up.
That's why you literally you looked at me like you had some big kind of news. And
I was happy.
This.
Let me have my moment, okay? I can be happy unlike you. Cry. All right.
Something happened that KFC doesn't want to talk about.
No, I'm telling you. I didn't know there was any in that.
No,
I thought because he looked down. I thought he was looking at his phone. So
no, I think that I think KFC got a text from a special someone that he doesn't want to tell us about.
Well, I was getting to that. I wasn't going to be so direct, but as soon as he said, "I'll tell you later,"
Shut up, okay? Shut up. Anyway.
She finger looking good, KFC?
Oh God. Oh Lord. All righty then. Talking about free agency and the draft. I've been really high on defensive tackles. I'm starting to lean toward the trade though. I've seen a lot of
because there's a certain name.
Yeah, DeForest Buckner.
Yes,
and I like DeForest Buckner. He's a little bit younger than Javon Hargraves.
Can I propose a different name?
Let's hear it.
Go ahead.
I think a guy. Maybe this is a Matty G fantasy, but I've thought about this for 2 years now. Jonathan Allen, from the Commanders. They're not going to pay both him and Deron Payne. If they like Deron Payne better, I would call the Commanders right now and offer 42 for Jonathan Allen.
I'll take it, but I think it would be a bigger price tag.
him. Yeah, they did tag Deron Payne, so there is a good chance there. But I mean, DeForest Buckner, the fact that he has gotten at least 7 sacks in the past 3 seasons as a defensive tackle is absolutely nuts. Just to think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy that's being at a position that's being constantly double teamed, his entire and here's his pressures in Indianapolis. Now, if you can sit here and tell me that there's a legitimate pass rusher outside of DeForest Buckner in Indianapolis, I'll just tell you that you're a clown and I can't take you serious because you're getting double teamed every single play. There's no other star out there. 31 pressures, 27, 29 the past 3 years. I mean, that's pretty crazy as a defensive tackle when you're the best defensive lineman there.
Yeah.
And he's still
he's had no help.
So I would love him.
Well, okay. So the thing is they can manipulate that cap hit when they do get it, kind of like the Amari Cooper trade. So you give a 4th or a 5th, you get him, you manipulate that, so you can further on sign other people, and I think that they should kind of go. I really want that TT kid out of USC. I really want him on the Browns. I think that he would just eat on the other side of Miles. But you get DeForest Buckner. You draft him, not in this order because that's not possible. But you get another defensive tackle. Played for the Vikings. Dalvin Tomlinson.
Okay.
You put him next to that. Dude, who is going to block that front 4? And then you get a Brandon Ingram guy.
Tough.
You get a Brandon Graham in there. Because I think that you could kind of get him on not a super cheap deal, but a cheaper deal than you probably would for a younger player with the same caliber of dominance on the line. And then you'd be able to switch him out and then move Miles around, let him do his thing, and you could just spread out. And it's going to be beautiful. Just beautiful. I love it.
Well, and that's the thing about Jim Schwartz's scheme, right? He loves that wide 9. He likes taking the 4 down guys and spreading them out as far as he can to create as many isolation matchups one-on-one with offensive linemen. So, and the crazy thing about DeForest Buckner, did you know that he's 6'7"?
I did.
And that's rare height. We're talking about the only 3 guys off the top of my head that I can think that are taller than 6'4" at defensive tackle. That would be Malik McDowell, who's out of the league. You got DeForest Buckner, and then
Malik Jackson.
Calais Campbell.
Malik Jackson, 6'6" too.
Yeah, he was 6'7", I thought.
6'4". I thought he was.
No, he was 6'7". Malik McDowell was 6'4". Malik Jackson was 6'7".
No, they're both 6'6".
Swatch. You got to switch.
No, they're both 6'6".
I'm gonna Google this.
I am too.
Not saying that I don't trust you, but I just want to Google it.
Oh, he's 6'5". My
swear.
bad. I thought he was 6'6".
Okay.
Same thing.
But either way, DeForest Buckner possesses that rare size, and and I don't want to throw any shade at Jordan Elliott. I really did thought that for what he was drafted as and brought in, I do think that he was a decent stopgap guy. But he's a rotational player. He's not quite a starting defensive tackle. Yeah. And I do think that he was playing a little bit out of position. When you're playing that one technique and you're lining up, over the center for most of the time, you have to be an enforcer. You have to be a guy that cannot be moved and will reestablish the line of scrimmage. And unfortunately, they just couldn't do it last year. And coincidentally, Miles had one of his worst production years of his career.
And still
why? Because he's getting double teamed every single play, and the pocket isn't collapsing. So just making his job harder.
Yeah. But I think the first thing they're gonna do is it's kind of like I think they're gonna approach this offseason kind of like how they did 2020. And right off the rip, I think they're gonna go heavy. They're just gonna come out just just hit. And you're just going to see right off the rip, you're going to see a defensive tackle or some sort of defensive player. If not right off the rip in free agency, you're going to see a trade kind of like how they did last year with Amari Cooper.
Amari. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they addressed it like right away, and they went after it. And there are even reports that a lot of GMs around the league were describing Barry as the most aggressive guy there. I mean, you know, even if nothing gets done, we can't sit here and fault Andrew Barry because he's been picking up the phone. He's been very busy.
Yeah.
And his phone has been just dialing out all day and all night trying to get something done. So I do expect something kind of right off the rip there, as you said.
Do you think, I just thought of this, it's just a hypothetical, don't think it'll happen, but do you think a part of, you know how like when we traded with the Giants, we traded Olivier Vernon, and then we trade, or like there was like it's like later, I think the next day or 2 days later, we got Olivier Vernon after the OBJ trade. Do you think we stay with the Colts, keep them on the line, be like, hey, you might need some guard help. How about we swap guards? And you get Quentin
I mean,
Nelson.
they are more than likely going to be drafting a quarterback. So why not, you know, try to bring in and shore up that offensive line.
And then you'd have Quentin Nelson and then Wyatt Teller. And like, I mean, I love Wyatt Teller. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a fantastic run blocker. But
which also thoughts and prayers out to the Teller family. I don't know if you saw Wyatt's dad passed away today. So
no, I didn't see that.
Pretty awful situation. So
prayers out to their family, man.
Yeah, no, that's really tough.
I didn't know that.
And touching a little bit on that, kind of transitioning into something going forward. The reason why we've been talking about Wyatt maybe not being the greatest fit going forward, you know, the reports did come out that the Browns are trying to pass more, you know, next season. And, you know, there are – and I know this sounds crazy because, it's an offensive lineman, but just how, you know, wide receivers and running backs fit certain offenses, the same thing with offensive linemen, you know. And going forward, we're going to have to, when we and we meaning the Browns front office and Andrew Barry, when they're acquiring offensive line talent, that's going to be a conversation that they're going to be having. Hey, you know, is this guy going to be able to pass block? Because like that's the majority of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they're not. These guys aren't stupid. They know that Deshaun Watson held the ball more than any other guy in the league. You know, 2.9 seconds on average. I mean, that's the highest out of any quarterback. So, you know, they know that he's that kind of guy that's going to hold onto the ball more and try to look for a play downfield, you know, do his Houdini magic, spin in and out of tackles, juke guys out, break out of the dog pile and look to fling the ball downfield. So they're going to be looking for offensive linemen that can play through the whistle, that can hold on to their blocks and are excellent pass blockers. So, you know, that might spark something. Now, granted, I'll say this. If 77 is on the roster come camp, you will not see me complaining.
Oh, I
He's
won't
one of the
either.
best
I love him.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of the best run blockers in the NFL.
I mean,
you know, so you can't.
I mean, I've got his autograph.
Show it.
I got his jersey. I've actually got his like actual jersey too. Like, so.
Well, like plus, so, and this is kind of more of a personal note for me. But I do enjoy the Christmas cards. That Carly Teller sends out. So you know, I would like for Wyatt to stay in here just for that sole purpose. I mean, I still have it on my mantle. It's nice to look at, you know, during the holidays. So, you know, I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't mind that going forward, but it's just one of those things that they're definitely going to be talking about.
Yeah. And I the only way I'm okay with us kind of moving on from Wyatt is if there's a for sure touted guard that can come in, pick up, even because, you know, we're still going to run the ball. Like, the ball's still going to be ran in Cleveland. I mean, we've got Nick Chubb. It's still going to happen. And if you do go out on the air raid offense, and if the defense unfolds like me and you think that it will, like I think that we're going to be a top 10 defense next year because Schwartz is just I mean, just look at his resume. I mean, just go watch him in Philly, go watch him pretty much anywhere he's been. Defense has always looked great. And him with Myles Garrett and these pieces that we could see come into Cleveland over the next few weeks, I think that defense is going to hold other teams short, and where we're running the air raid more often, we're going to be up. And what do you do when you're up? You run the ball a little bit more, chew the clock. When you got a guy like Nick Chubb, and if you keep him like 10 carries through the first 3 quarters, that fourth quarter is going to be insane. He's going to rack up.
Oh, I just that would make me so happy. You know how much I love watching Nick Chubb run the ball, and
In the
and
fourth.
that would just oh my,
It's like Kyrie in the fourth. Watching Nick Chubb in the fourth, man, he's dangerous.
it's just a whole nother animal. And you just look at him run, and you say, you call your mom up on the phone, and you go, "Mama,
Yep.
look at that man go.
Look at him go, baby.
Look at him go." So it's an interesting point that you bring there. If they shore up that defensive line, they do have the potential to be a top 10 defense, because look at this. Now there are speculations about certain defensive backs that might not be here next year.
Yeah.
But looking at it right now, this Browns defense is very loaded on the back end and in the secondary. I'm a firm believer that they don't need much of a safety to fill in John Johnson's role. I do think I want them to take a look at DeAnthony Bell. At the very least, he needs
to be back.
Invite to camp. And at least an invite to camp, because he's a great special teamer. You know, he's one of those guys to where the one thing that I watch when I watch safeties is closing. How quick is he getting to the football? How quick is he getting to the ball?
Let me pull this up real quick. I think you'll like this. So in those notes I showed, I mean, if you're watching this, you had saw that. So I went through, I think it was Friday or Saturday, and I think I texted you. I was like, "Hey, I made a cool," I was pretty proud. I'm not an organized person, but I made a chart. And I'll actually send that to you after this. But I went through and made safeties. I did Jamie Robinson from Florida State, Jordan Battle from Bama, Christopher Smith from Georgia, Sidney Brown from Illinois, and then JL Skinner from Boise State. And on these, I put like their missed tackle rate while they were in college, which, one guy that really stood out to me out of those safeties was Sidney Brown. He's not the biggest name because he went to Illinois, but he's 22, 6 foot, 205, had 6 interceptions, 59 tackles. His missed tackle percentage is a little higher than the other guys, 16.6, but he also had 3.5 tackles for loss, 7 pass deflections, allowed a 58.7 completion percentage. PFF rated him at a 78.4 ran a 4.47. Vertical was 40 and a half inches. Let me say that. And his broad jump was a 10'10".
And you know what that says? Explosive. That means that he's got good genes in his hips.
Yep.
That means that he can roll those things go forward, and he can explode through the play. So that's definitely a good thing to hear. But going back to it, I really don't think that they need to do much in the secondary, because I think that the Browns still have one of the most loaded secondary groups in the NFL. And what really hurt them last year is just the fact that QBs had all day to throw. Eventually somebody is going to get open, if you're giving the quarterback 4 seconds to throw.
And the thing is I think the only thing we're really missing on that back half is a thumper top safety. And we talked about this, I think, the other day.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, Grant Delpit, he can play both safety positions, but I think he's better as a free safety. Because, I mean, if you go back and look when he was playing free safety, because he played free safety quite a bit, whether people want to accept that or not. He go look
the snaps.
Exactly. Safety. At free safety. And when he started playing that more often than he started balling out more. And I think he had 4 picks last year. So I mean, he can ball hog.
He led the Browns in picks.
Yeah,
led the Browns in picks.
4 or 5 picks.
Put that man in coverage.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get a guy. I really like Jimmy Ward. I think we can get him kind of cheaper. He's a little bit older. He's a thumper because you can also play him in the nickel.
Yes.
And then another guy I like in the draft is Jordan Battle. I think he's going to go 40,
Yeah.
a little bit early. I don't know if we'll
I-
get him, but I really like him because he's a thumper. Like he reminds me a lot of Jamal Adams at LSU.
Yes.
So
Because I remember you were sending me tape on him, and I really like the guy, but the only problem is that
he's
going
gonna
to
go
be,
before us.
yeah, by the time the Browns are looking to pick a safety, he's going to be gone. Now, I agree that the Browns are looking for that thumper, at safety. And to bring up your point earlier, you were talking
Yeah.
about Jimmy Ward playing in the nickel. The Browns are looking for a nickel corner because, you're not going to put Martin Emerson in the nickel unless he's guarding your best and your tallest receiver. Because Martin Emerson just has the height and the length to shut down, a lot of these big wide receivers. So you have that. You're not going to put Denzel in the nickel. And Greg Newsome had that, now granted, a public outburst on Twitter is a public outburst on Twitter, but he said straight up, I'm not going to play in the slot. So now the Browns got to find a guy that's able to do that. And, I hate to keep bringing up our old conversations because I feel like a lot of times where it's just me and you, we're just bringing up old stuff that we talk
but
about
these people
off
they
air.
heard it.
But, one name that I brought up to you a couple of days ago, MJ Stewart.
Yeah.
They should have kept MJ Stewart instead of Rodney Harrison. They really should have. Because he's that guy that can play in the box and play that nickel corner position, and he can lay the wood and he can put that shoulder down. So and like that's what the all right. Lay the wood is a common phrase, okay? You do yourself a huge favor and just your mind needs to come out of the gutter. My goodness. This is
Cry.
This is just ridiculous.
The way you just said it, you went. you raised your eyebrows when he said. Sorry. Anyways, going back.
Anyway,
composure is collected now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do need the guy that can boom hit people, just lay them out. Honestly, man, Jabril Peppers is hitting the market too. If we can get him
is.
If you get he kind of laid under the radar for the Patriots, but you go back and look at what he did with the Patriots, really solid. Like probably revitalized career there.
Well, he's just one of those guys to where he was just a linebacker that was fast enough to play safety. Not the greatest in coverage, but when you have a guy just play to his strength, which is in the box around the line of scrimmage, a rover, a strong safety, whatever the heck you want to call it, a money backer. But Jabril Peppers was one of those guys. I loved watching him. I was sad to see him go in that Odell Beckham trade. Now, granted, did I like the trade at the time? Yes, but I was still sad to see him go because he had a lot of big plays, whether it was that sack against Denver or that forced fumble that was taken back by the refs against the Ravens. I'm still mad about that play. That was a touchdown.
What even makes me
touchdown.
What makes me even more mad about that trade? Like thinking about it. Well, okay, so Christmas, I asked for a jersey. Mom and Dad buy me a jersey for Christmas, and I asked for a Denzel Ward jersey, and they're like, "Well, they're all out." And I was like, "Well, get me a Jabril Peppers." So I got a Peppers jersey. Do you know how many days? Okay, so you know how like they do like the 90-day, like you can swap out a jersey.
Don't even tell me the trade happened on the 91st day. Wait, yeah, because that would have been Christmas.
It happened on the 100th and like second day.
Wow, that's bad luck.
I was so mad, but you know what? It don't matter. I still got it. So when he returns, and whatever number he does wear, there'll be duct tape on the number.
There'll be duct tape on the number.
It'll be duct tape.
What number did he
22.
even wear? 22? Okay.
Yep.
Maybe he can come back and wear 5.
Ooh, the buck nuts won't like that.
Whatever.
Okay.
I'm as a guy that actually lives in Ohio, I grew up as a little bit of an Ohio State fan. I watched majority of Penn State until the scandal came out. Then I just kind of disassociated myself from college football entirely. I try to root for Ohio State, but the fans just make absolutely insufferable. I know I'm gonna get roasted.
Buddy,
If
come
somebody
down
brings
here.
this
Come
up.
down here and root for the Cats.
I mean, I'm a big fan of just good college football in general because you don't really see that a lot. You see a lot of blowouts.
Yep.
So but hey, one last thing before we go. Do you have it for me?
Do I have the
Kentucky?
hypothetical?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kentucky Fried hypothetical. Hit me with it. Let's
All
go.
right. So, would you rather be stuck in space for 30 days
Okay.
or feel like you were drowning in quicksand for 15 years?
Now feel like drowning in quicksand. So
Like your body and your mind just feel like you're just. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm gonna give you like more of a football one.
Okay.
That was just
Okay.
a joke. So would you rather have the power of a GM for 3 days so you can make any move you want, no repercussions because your
Okay.
job ends in 3 days? Or would you rather be a water boy for a team for 2 years?
Wow, that's a tough one. That's tough one because obviously with the GM you get 3 days. Now you could build yourself somewhat of a resume.
Yeah.
And with 3 days you have no repercussions, right?
Yeah,
You
so
don't even
you're
have to.
actually getting to be the GM
Yeah.
in like free agency, like the off-season period. So it's
Yeah.
like, so you would
You know
start
what?
technically that Monday of
Mhm.
like the hazing or whatever hazing. What's it called? Illegal
Tampering.
tampering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tampering.
And then you're out by Wednesday at 5:00. You know what? I take the water boy position. Honestly, because that's actually a lot of how some of these guys get their start.
Hmm.
Their assistants like real low level and they kind of work their way up. So I feel like a water boy for 2 years, you could somehow like work your way within the organization.
Mhm.
I mean, you're out there with the players every single day. You're going to hear all the news. You're going to hear all the whispers. So, you're going to have people hitting you up. Hey, what are you hearing Berea this week? Did somebody actually say this? Like, what's going on? And, I could legitimately be somebody's source, which is, kind of like an ego trip as it is.
Yeah.
So, I go water boy. I'd feel like it would be fun for 2 years.
I'm going GM.
Okay.
For 3 days. And you know what I'm going to do the whole 3 days? I'm going to be chugging rock stars and banks because I'm staying up the whole time. And I'm going to be busy on that phone because you know what? I'm pretty good at rebuilding teams on Madden. And I think that just, that qualifies me to be a GM for 3 days. So, the state of the Browns, we'd have no picks like for the next 3 years. Like there'd be no picks. I would have them all sent. I would have the team drowning in debt. But you know what? There'd be a Super Bowl in Cleveland because we'd have Cooper Kupp, we'd have Travis Kelce, we'd have Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. We'd have Deshaun Watson with his backup as Aaron Rodgers. Defense would just be loaded. I'd have TJ Watt in Cleveland. Just
listen here, buddy. I'm going to give you 5 first-rounders, and you're going to take Tyreek Hill and put him on the next plane to Cleveland.
Listen here, buddy.
You what?
This isn't a promise. This is a threat. You're going to give me Tyreek for a third, or I'm going to come down there to Miami in 5 hours.
And
kick your neck off.
And kick your neck off.
So, yeah, that's exactly. I would have that. Like the Browns would have no picks, like no picks at all.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have no repercussions as the GM for 3 days.
And then there'd be a 30 for 30 about me. And then I'd have my Gucci suit on and a cowboy hat, a pair of J's, and then it'd be like, "So, what was your thoughts when you first got it?"
I would love to see you in a 3-piece suit with a cowboy hat and Air Force Ones. You would be on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
I would get hired as a GM somewhere else in the matter of minutes.
I mean, yeah, I'd say.
And then when the Super Bowl trophy hit Cleveland, nobody else is holding it except me, because I'd be. And then I would dent it
Are you,
And
are
I
you
would
gonna,
dent it
Are you
perfectly.
going to wear the Pit Vipers to your
Oh,
to your press
always, dude. They're
conference?
going to stay on the whole time.
You're never going to take them off. You're just going to glue them to your face.
And then I'm going to autograph them and then sell them on eBay. And I'm going to put 3-day GM.
3-day GM.
Yep.
Oh,
And that'll be on that'll be on like my resume. Like when I go apply for ESPN. When they ask me, because they'll put like in the thing, they'll be like, we're going to go to our expert source, former GM. Of 3 days.
former 3-day GM, former weekend warrior.
No, buddy. No. As soon as that hits 12 o'clock on that Monday, it's game on. Phones are ringing. And then I'd hire
Smiling
you.
and dialing.
I'd hire you in, so you had to hire me back. I'd make you the assistant GM, and then hold you at Buffalo Point, and then
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. But I think that's a great way to end the episode.
Oh, absolutely great way to end the episode.
Yeah, and
Yeah, Manny didn't even talk. He just kind of disappeared.
yeah, I think he got
Maddie.
busy. But you know, go tell your parents or whoever you love. Tell them you love them.
Absolutely.
Say a prayer for the troops, for the cops,
And the Teller family.
and the Taylor family. Yeah, for them. Just keep them all in your prayers. And Pittsburgh still sucks. Go Browns!
Yes. Oh, and before we go here, guys, just remember, follow us on Twitter, Down with the Browns. We also have a YouTube page where we post all of these funny clips. It doesn't cost you anything to just subscribe, so you might as well click the button. And we did release a new shirt, the Chub Time. Check it out on the Bonfire website there.
Yep.
More to come with that stuff. I can't wait to.
If you want to donate to $1 to the Christian Scott Wallet Foundation, just let me know. My @ is at KFC Christian on Twitter.
Nobody's gonna Venmo you.
Nobody's gonna Venmo me. Okay,
Nobody's gonna Venmo.
I guarantee it. I'm gonna clip this, and you know what? I'm gonna use the money that I get sent to buy a T-shirt press, so we can have more authentic T-shirts.
Yes, and I'm telling you, dude,
So donate.
the moment the moment my paycheck hits on Friday, I'm definitely getting one of those Chub Time T-shirts. I
Chub
can't wait to show
Time.
it. So yeah, we need to show our viewers that T-shirt. I really like it. Now, granted,
welcome.
I'm biased, but yes, because fun fact, I pitched him that idea. The graphic was pretty crappy,
And
but
then I made it elite.
Yeah, I was about to
Oh,
say
wait.
he got his Kentucky Fried
Magic.
claw, on there and made a wonderful T-shirt. Now we're just rambling, so we might as well just end the show now.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh still
Go-
sucks. And
Yes.
go Browns!
Go Browns!